The Muay Thai Project, a 501c3 charity organization dedicated to changing lives through Muay Thai. They provide training scholarships to children in need. To find out more about their mission, please visit MuayThaiProject.org. You can also follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Muay Thai Project. Any individuals or companies wishing to sponsor the show, please contact radiomuaythai@gmail.com. Sawadee Kap. Welcome back to Muay Thai Radio. We're back with you once again, live from North Jersey Muay Thai here in Lodi, New Jersey. In the studio with us today, we've got, as always, my main man, Owen Bonus.
Hey, what's up, Liam?
And special guest just coming back from Thailand, over from the motherland over there, Mr. Ognen Topic.
What's up?
And our special guest today, joining us straight from California on West Coast time, Mr. Matt Lucas, author of the book Taking the Muay Thai World by Storm. Matt, how you doing? Glad you could join us.
Thank you.
Matt, so tell us about the book. You wrote a book.
Yeah, so it's a series of interconnected short stories following a few American fighters as they travel, train, and fight here in the States and abroad in Thailand. I wrote it over basically a 5-year period during which I was traveling, training, and fighting here and abroad in Thailand. I realized about a year and a half ago that I had enough material to put together a book. So I spent the last year or so editing and putting together the book, which I self-published about 3 months ago. So, yeah.
Have you written anything before this?
I've done some writing. I've gotten some short stories published. I've done book reviews. I have done a lot of sports journalism for a Muay Thai website called My Muay Thai. And then I also did I worked for a little while for an architectural and art blog called Resonant City. It was sort of like art criticism meets urbanism.
So what made you jump into creative short stories?
I'm a really big reader myself, so I've always liked novels. I've always liked short stories a lot, and I found myself writing short stories. So that's more or less the gist of why I ended up doing it. I had no intentions originally of writing a novel or a collection of short stories. I was just doing the stories for fun. And then I realized, some of these are pretty good. I like them. I should work at it more and see what I can come up with.
How much of it is autobiographical? I mean, I was reading through it last night, and a lot of it had to do not only with fighting, but working in a restaurant, explaining why you fight to other people, which they can't seem to get their head around, showing up beat up to work, meeting girls, killing dogs. It seemed to spread out.
Yeah, so some of it is based on my own life, but most of the events are not autobiographical. So, for instance, I've never had a dog before, and one of the lead characters has a dog. Obviously I've been abroad before. I can speak and read basic Thai. So there's, some translation there, but a lot of the actual events didn't happen. But, I think when you're fighting regularly, you see a lot of the same things happen to people. People winning, people losing, different mindsets and stuff. So that's sort of where I drew a lot of inspiration from.
That's great. So we were talking previously, and you were saying that you'd gone over a number of times. So you were living here, and then you went over, then you came back, and you went over again. Was there anything that struck you the first time going over? How was that experience for you?
The first time, like some of the characters, I've been working in the service industry for a long time. It's a great industry to be in if you're fighting. So I was working for a while, and I was like, I've never been abroad before. I should go to Thailand. Muay Thai is a great vehicle for that. So the first time I went, I was actually really nervous. It was in 2005 or so. The internet hadn't really blown up in the same way that it has, where you have a lot more of the specialty sort of catering to foreigners gyms. It was just sort of starting to go that way. And I didn't really know anyone. I wasn't sure what gym I would go to. So I was pretty nervous about it. And then, everything seemed very, very strange over there, very different. But it was a really good experience.
Did you go there by yourself the first time?
I did go there by myself.
That's ballsy.
Yeah. I went there by myself. I saved like $1,000 or something, and I just went over. I ended up staying 3 months. I got a little apartment by An, which isn't far from Eminent Air.
Yeah. It's 2 stations away.
Yeah. I went to Ingram Gym, which is, at the time it was by Ekama BTS, but has since moved to, I think it's Tongwall.
Yeah.
I forget though. But I went there and I, trained regularly. I fought this kid in Pattaya at the Fairtex Stadium out there, Teperasit.
Yeah, Teperasit.
Yeah. Have you fought out there?
Yeah, I fought at that stadium once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a small little stadium. It's all right.
Actually, I don't even think they have it around anymore. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think Fairtex might have redone it, or who knows. I can't remember.
I was struck by reading the first chapter because I don't want to give away your book, but it sounded like you wanted to see one side of Thailand, and not you, but the character wanted to see one side of Thailand, and his girlfriend was like, "This is gross. Everything's polluted." Like, I could see myself having that situation with my girlfriend, being like, "You want this? I don't like this. Like, is there a nice hotel around or something?"
Guys, I could see that going to a movie theater with some girls I've met. All right?
Yeah.
I don't like this place. The seats are dirty. We're in Passaic. It's not that far from home.
What movie theater are you going to, Liam?
I've been in some pretty rough ones. I've been living in some pretty bad areas.
But I'm just saying, it's funny, like what you were saying about Phuket. You're like, it's a lot of partying and stuff like that.
I think it just comes down to your goals. If you set a goal that you want to reach a certain level and become better at the sport, then you kind of forget about going out and having fun, and it comes down to making sacrifices.
That's what it is.
Yeah, definitely.
And then getting nothing in return because there's no money in the sport.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Probably not,
After
but
I
maybe
stop.
one day.
Somebody brought up an idea at some point. I was talking to someone. Do you guys think amateurs should get paid? Amateur fighters?
Why?
Would that put
mean,
more
if-
money in the sport for professionals or no?
I'm not sure, but if the amateurs, if they did decide to pay the amateurs, they would obviously have to stop fighting with headgear and shin pads. They would have to be the same rules as pros.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it would be the same as in Thailand. There's no amateurs over there. As soon as you're ready to fight, you get paid. It just becomes your job. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
To make money, so you can support yourself and family.
Do you think that would help the sport? Maybe. I don't know. It's just an interesting suggestion somebody brought up, and I was thinking about it.
I don't think it would help the sport.
I don't think so.
Yeah, as far as making money, I think it would take it away from the pros that are actually good.
You're bummed. You're
There-
like,
there
I
would
don't
definitely-
get paid enough as it is.
Yeah, I think there would definitely be less shows around if they started paying amateurs.
It's hard enough for promoters to make money on
exactly.
ticket sales.
I think
you know?
there'd be less amateurs if there weren't gear fights.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you start off fighting full rules, Matt?
Well, no. Because I did amateurs over here first, and I did smokers and stuff. So a bunch of my my fights over here were like IKF, or you can't knees the head.
Right. Yeah.
Usually the referees would break up the clinch real quick. But I fought full rules over in Thailand, of course. And then I have a pretty traditional Thai gym over here. It's a Fairtex spinoff with Ganyao being the main instructor at the gym now.
Do you think people going to Thailand with no experience and fighting is a horrible idea?
I mean, whatever. I don't think it's terrible. I think that sometimes, people going over there get shitty fights. So, some Westerner will go over there and will just get matched up with, some kid that wants 1,500 baht for his motorbike, or, some old taxi driver that, needs a little more money for his Samsung, or, whatever. So I don't necessarily think that going over there you're going to get matched up very well. But sometimes you will, and sometimes you'll be overmatched, and sometimes you'll be undermatched, and, hopefully you'll be evenly matched. I think, like, a lot of times when Westerners go over there, it can be sort of a tourist experience, and that can be good and bad.
I think
it has all the complications of tourism.
I think it depends on the actual gym as well. And I think, for the guys that are listening that are thinking about going there with not too much experience, I think you should test out the gyms. Like, let's say at the gym that I train at, Eminent Air, they'll actually just come up with an excuse such as, oh, we can't find you a fight, where, and they'll tell me to tell the foreigner, tell him that we can't find the fight, but in reality, he's just not ready, and he's going to get beat up, and we don't want to see that happen, So, yeah, I mean, I rather tell him that than, let him just go in there and get their face mangled.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That ties into just quality of opponent. I mean, I've seen guys who go over there and they win. They come back. They're still amateurs on the circuit here, but they win by KO in Thailand. But then they come back and get beat by somebody here. So it's not necessarily fight in Thailand. It's a quality of who you're matched up with, really.
Yeah, the promoter will always try and find a fair matchup, but you got to understand that these promoters have a lot of fighters that they have to match up. We're talking about every week that they're match, and we're talking about like every day of the week they're matching people. So they may forget, and they may the quality is going to go down a little bit once you have a lot of quantity. A lot of fighters that you need to match up. You're going to kind of start forgetting about levels and where this guy's at. So things can happen.
It's definitely a tough spot to be in. I think it gets underappreciated sometimes. A good promoter having to match up people and find good matchups consistently, month after month, even if it's just once a month. Like you need to give people time, So I feel like
told a story that was kind of the opposite of what you were saying, Matt, about not necessarily being undermatched, but it was his first fight. They said, we've got a guy that's for you, and they got there, and the guy was 60 pounds heavier than him. And he was like a full contact karate champion with Yakuza tattoos and missing fingers. And Sam was like, this is not really what I thought this was going to be.
Yeah.
Well, and he came out with a victory.
Yeah, he did. He beat the guy.
Oh, good for him. I mean, I've been overmatched before too. My last fight in Bangkok, I fought at MBK. The Mabu Kong, right in the middle of Bangkok.
Yeah.
And they have like free Wednesday night fights out there. And I was supposed to fight some Japanese kids. And I looked around. I didn't see a Japanese kid anywhere, but there was a Thai kid there. And I was like, oh, I must be fighting him. And I was, my trainer was like, oh, should I ask how many fights he's had? I was like, yeah, sure, but don't tell me until, after the fight is over. And, he had like 40 fights compared to, my 4.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing when you're a low level fighter when you first get there. Like let's say when I first went to Thailand in 2008, then even in last time I came, they'll put you in a fight with no weight class. They'll just kind of match you up by eye, but even that, it's like a 40-pound, 60-pound difference. So you have to just figure it out. And then once you start getting better, then you start getting good, better quality fights. Where you actually have to weigh in and they're matched a little more evenly.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a process to get to where you're fighting evenly, and the fight is, very skill-based and technical.
Yeah.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
I just want to say how much I respect writers. All I can write is like a text message with a bunch of grammatical errors.
LOL, buddy.
Yeah, man. I can never picture myself writing a book.
Emojis on lockdown?
No, I don't do those.
Yo, emoji game is strong. Check the fight shorts at Line Fight 21.
Dude, I emoji the fuck out of people.
Yeah?
Yeah, dude. Big time. My favorite's the monkey.
The Thais love that stuff, man. The Thais have like separate folders for all these emojis. It's unreal. It's a whole different bowl game over there.
Emoji game on lock.
Yeah, there you go.
Yo, and everyone's on Facebook. Everyone you meet on Thailand's like, they get you on Facebook about a month later. You're like, oh yeah, look at this guy.
Yeah.
What was the self-publishing process like?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So I decided to do it through CreateSpace, which is an Amazon subsidiary. Essentially, you just make a PDF of your book, and then they print it out on demand. So if Owen buys a copy, CreateSpace prints and ships the copy to him, and then I get a royalty out of that. So it's good, but it's also very unregulated. So if you want a good-looking book, you need to invest some time and effort into, of course, getting it edited, getting it re-edited, getting it edited again. And then you also need someone, if you're not particularly skilled, to do design and layout. So I have a friend that works for Wine Magazine, and she laid out the book for me along with the cover images. Yeah.
And the editing process, did you have a professional second set of eyes, or did you have friends that you leaned on?
Yeah, so I have a copy editor friend. So I went to him. I actually went through like 3 or 4 rounds of editing. So I went to the copywriter first, and then I took that and did some peer review feedback. I took that, I went back to the copy editor, and then I went to a second copy editor, then a third copy editor, then back to the first guy. And, I reread what I wrote probably 1 million times. I think that if you're going to do a book, you have to put a lot of work into it to make it sound good, to make sure there's not a lot of errors. And even still, I'm sure there's things wrong with the book, but, what can you do?
The killing the dog would be the one thing
like
that I could.
The dog.
Yeah. Did you ever second guess your own voice when you'd be getting notes back from editors?
Yeah, I think to some degree I did, but it's like any piece of art or anything you really put yourself into. People will be like, "Oh, you did fine, but whereas your own self-perception is like, I fucked this up, I fucked that up. I'm not sure I did that right. I could have done better. So I definitely think there is a fair amount of second guessing.
That sounds like the same process of watching a fight after you fought. All you see is the stuff you did wrong.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's very important to be introspective. If you can't put the ego aside and just criticize yourself accurately, then you'll never be able to get to that next level.
I think accurately is important. You don't want to be too hard on yourself and go like, oh,
Yeah, you'll never finish it.
this fight sucked, or this
Right.
book sucks, or this,
Right.
I know you paint, you're like, oh, this sucks, this person didn't like
Yeah.
it, when you're not, giving yourself any credit for what
Right.
you've done either.
Yeah.
Glad we figured that out. All
Yeah.
right.
All right. Yeah, it's interesting you say that. It's just just getting better every time. It's progressive, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Matt, all these stories are interlaced between themselves. Are there little pieces of yourself in each story? Do you recognize the characters as different? Is one more like you than any other ones?
I wouldn't say that one is more like me than any of them. Maybe the main character, Brian, a little. Like, there's little bits of all of me in the characters. So, like a lot of the guys like to read a lot. I obviously like to read a lot. But there's also things that I put in for the characters that I sort of dislike, or, like things that I wouldn't necessarily do. Because I wanted to have well-rounded characters that were sort of empathetic, but not, too far removed or too distant. I wanted to make everyone seem like a regular person that you could meet and, is sort of understandable.
Do you read Bret Easton Ellis?
I do. I actually like Bret Easton Ellis a lot.
I was getting a kind of a less than zero vibe. I mean, not as amoral, but the way that the story was flowing.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely less than zero, and Bret Easton Ellis's writing style has been pretty influential on me. I like sort of the minimalist prose.
Yeah.
Like him, or like, of course, Ernest Hemingway.
Never heard
Raymond Carver.
Ernest who? Owen was saying he hadn't heard of him.
Disgusting.
You've never heard of Raymond Carver or Dashiell Hammett before?
I like Raymond Carver's actually. No, we're just joking. Hemming who? He doesn't. He sounds like a bum.
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Is he new?
I was down in Cuba and I saw Hemingway's room, and they say it was like it was when he was down there. And I don't believe a man that big fit on a toilet that small.
Was it a squatter?
No, it wasn't a squatter. There's this cool picture of him and Fidel with some big marlin between them on a fishing trip somewhere. He lived Hemingway, man. What a man's man, fucking going out there and living down in Cuba. He was a boxer back in the day. Hemingway was a boxer.
Yeah?
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's right. He enjoyed fist fighting. When you sit down to write a short story, what is the inspiration to get started? Like, do you have a point that you're trying to make? Are you trying to just tell the story or get your experience down on paper? Do you know where the story's going to end, or do you just kind of let it flow?
Well, so it's sort of a multi-tiered question, but I usually sort of let it flow until it seems like it's a good stopping point. In terms of inspiration, it can be like anything. So for the second story with the dog, I actually saw my neighbor's old dog, and I was like, oh, I'm going to write a story about a dog. Whereas when one of the later stories called Round, I actually wrote that while I was at Sitman Chai, and for that story, I just wanted to write every day, and I wanted to write a pretty detailed fight sequence. So I was like, okay, every day I'm going to write, a couple pages or, whatever, in between, my training sessions, and I'm going to go through this whole process. So definitely different things, inspire me or get me to do writing for stories. And then it's sort of like a feeling process for when seems to be an appropriate place to end.
How much is what is your discipline like with writing? Because I've heard a lot of writers say, the most important thing is that I put my ass in the chair every day for 3 hours or whatever the time limit is.
Yeah, writing, like any other sort of discipline, is like you have to just fucking do it. So if you want to be a world-class fighter, you have to be at the gym every day, whether you like it or not. In the same respect, if you want to be a good writer, you need to spend a lot of time sitting down, writing and reading. That said, I'm not super disappointed with my writing. Although I do writing every day, I'm not like sitting down writing, short stories every day. Usually I do some sort of writing though. If it's my journal, I have handwritten pen pals that I write to. Of course, reading or writing a book review. I usually try and spend, 30, 40 minutes doing some sort of writing every day.
I guess it's just that discipline. You gotta stay sharp with it. Same with Muay Thai. Gotta keep the skills sharp. Gotta keep working on stuff.
Yeah, actually, I noticed this time around when I went back to Thailand, how important it is to actually really do this every day. Including a Sunday, especially when you have a fight coming up. It's just so detrimental to your getting to that higher level.
Yeah, I got to split.
Come on, I'll make that phone call.
I wish I could.
Make that phone call, man.
Thanks, Matt. I'm going to let you know what I thought of the book when I finish it. I'm sorry I got to bail early.
Oh, it's cool. Whatever.
Yeah, don't worry
it's
about it.
It's all good, brother.
Yeah. You're sort of dark and mysterious anyways on my computer.
What happened?
He was saying you were off in the dark in the back there.
AKA, you're not important.
God damn it.
All right, man.
That was my
See you,
subtle way of saying that. Are you still looking for freelance gigs?
Yeah. Yeah, actually,
how's that going?
It's good. I got another job a couple of days ago, so.
Where are you finding most of your work through?
It's a lot of it comes from other design websites that I'm on, like Behance.net. I got a lot of messages from there, and then also just word of mouth from other clients that I worked with. They'll pass me on.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay as long as I make enough money to pay for my trips to Thailand, where I don't have to tap into my savings account. I'm okay.
So yeah, I guess we haven't really talked much about the Rungravee fight. Ognen, you're going to be fighting Rungravee Sasiprapa at Lion Fight. Matt, have you been to any of the Lion Fights out there in Vegas or out in that direction?
Not yet. I'll probably go to the next one out here. I just haven't had the time or the money to go out, but I keep watching them online or
yeah, it's
on
a great
TV.
show.
Yeah, it's they're doing a pretty solid job at putting on consistent shows. Most of the times the matchups are pretty exciting. So it's definitely a show worth watching.
Yeah, it's really well produced.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great to see good promotions getting out there, getting bigger and bigger names, bigger fighters coming over. We can bring Thais over and bring some of the best from all over the world too, from Holland, and they're bringing over a lot of champions.
Right.
You're no stranger to the Thais. Who are you fighting up there?
I'll be fighting Rungravee.
The man himself.
Yeah, very tough fighter.
If anybody's just listening to the show for the first time, why don't you let them know about your record?
Right now, I have about 34 or 35 fights. I'm not too sure, and I'm not sure also the actual record. I don't really follow it that much. I just go in there and fight.
Nice. So you've been fighting. You fought Powrit. You fought Coke Chanawat.
Yeah, as far
online
as
fight as well.
Yeah, Nung Siam, and then obviously a bunch of Thais just now while I was in Thailand.
So this is your return to U.S. soil right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel more than ready for this fight. I was ready to fight Rungravee, a year and a half ago when we were just throwing the idea out there. But now, after spending 7 months in Thailand, I'm even more ready.
Nice.
So it's perfect time, and I feel extremely confident. I've upped my game since I came back, so it's gonna be a very exciting fight.
So Foxwoods Casino, that's Lion Fights has been coming to the East Coast, which has been a great thing for all the East Coast Muay Thai fans. I was in the house last time they were up there.
Yeah.
Really sold the place out, did really well.
Yeah.
And I definitely recommend anybody heading up there to hang out, get a room, meet the fighters, stay the night.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good night. There's actually other big names on that card as well that are gonna be fighting. So, everybody, even if you don't know, Muay Thai and the sport, if you guys want to check something out, just have a good time, definitely come out and support.
Ladies, come out and support. You may be able to go home with fighter Ognen Topic at the end of the night if you play your cards right. We're announcing here our next sweepstakes on Muay Thai Radio. We are giving away Ognjen's hand in marriage.
You're out of control, man.
Since it's at a casino, will there be betting at all?
I don't know, but I'm gonna throw my purse on black and hope for the best.
Yo, here's what I want, okay? East Coast, I have one request, just one. We need to make this place look like Lumpini Stadium back in the day. I want hand signals. I want money flying around. I want a lady with cell phones strapped to her chest. I want all that stuff right now, okay? Come on, East Coast. Get with me on this.
Yeah.
I remember it was after your fight in Virginia, actually. It was funny because you fought Jay Mateus down there on the WKA show. And awesome fight. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's up online. That was for the WKA Full Rules title.
Yeah.
And the fight was so exciting. It was off. The whole crowd was going nuts. One of those fights where you're in the room and you're just loving it. And afterwards, this dude, he looked like he was in his 60s. This older-looking Thai fella, and he looked so excited. He was jumping around. He runs up and he puts. He starts giving you money. Like, I don't know if he had won it on you or what the deal was.
Yeah, he was betting after the fight. That actually happened in Thailand as well when I was fighting. The bettors will just come around while you're during your break, getting ready to go into the next round. The bettors will just come around. They'll start telling you what you need to do, what the bettors want to see, and then after the fight, if you do everything correctly and if you actually win the fight, or if you maybe even just win that round, they'll come back and they'll give you a portion of that money. So the next time you fight, they'll remember you. You'll remember them. You almost make a little small business.
It's like having a waiter that you tip really well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's somebody who you work together. You're like, look, he's here. This is my guy or my lady here.
Yeah, it's all about money over there.
That's funny.
Is your Thai good enough that you can understand their excited sort of speak?
I can't understand everything, but as long as they talk slow, then I can pick up most of the stuff. That's where the problem lies. You understand a lot, but then when they start speaking fast, then you get kind of lost because you need time to process the words.
What you fought Coke on Lion Fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of remembered that, but then I forgot. How did you do? Did you win?
Yeah, I won that fight on points.
Anybody on the East Coast, make sure you get up to that show. It's gonna be great. Maybe we can get some more betting pools going. We'll get some money floating around this place.
I'm down.
There's no money in the sport.
Yeah.
No, the money's in the audience, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's where the money is in the sport. It's changing hands, changing hands that aren't wearing gloves. Let's just put it that way.
People start betting. It's like an extra little booster. It just makes you fight harder.
Nice.
But if you guys, are interested in coming, you can purchase tickets from the Line Fight website, or you can purchase it from our gym, North Jersey Muay Thai. You can come see me. The tickets are $95 for on the floor. We're closer to the action, and then $55 in the stands, general admission.
Very good. So yeah, I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of teams represented up there. Lion Fight. The last time they came around, definitely had people from all areas of the East Coast fight community in a way.
Yeah.
Different gyms from down in the New York area, gyms from the Boston area. So it's always good to see the whole level is starting to rise. I mean,
Yeah.
if it does feel like overall the level of competition's coming up, and the availability of fights, and the more gyms are opening up, more fighters are getting out. So
Yeah.
it's good to see everything picking up.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of funny. You know what? I just got to take a second to say there's a lot of funny stuff coming out now, like memes and different stuff coming out around just online, on Facebook and whatever other Muay Thai gyms.
Yeah, all the fighting sports.
Yeah, it's funny, man. It's funny to see such a cool community of people. I mean, Matt, you must have, in promoting the book, you must have I've seen interviews coming up on different websites, on different shows, all over the place. So you got a good slice of the whole community. Have you been in like the MMA arena much? Have you found much interest coming from that way, or is it mostly hardcore? It can really apply to anybody. I mean, anybody could benefit from reading the book, right?
Yeah. So the two sectors that I'm mainly promoting it in is Muay Thai and actually like a regular literary world. So I'm doing some readings and going to like book events for it. I haven't really targeted MMA people that much, although I guess I could and should. I just haven't had time to do so.
I think with books such as yours, and I'm not sure, maybe I'm getting this wrong, but the book, The Fighter's Mind, I think that's just a great book on life in general. It was a guy that was just interviewing different fighters on what it takes to be on that high level, and what it just takes to be just takes to accomplish your goals and do something the correct way. And I think it's just a general rule for, also for life. Whatever you want to achieve, there's just certain things you have to do to get to that point. So I'm not sure. Maybe your book is similar to that. I don't know if you ever read The Fighter's Mind.
Yeah, I've read both of Sam Sheridan's books. A Fighter's Heart and A Fighter's Mind. And to some degree, they were inspirations. Like, I read his and I was like, this is good. And of course, part why I wrote, I was like, I can do better, or I can say something different. But I definitely got some lessons out of that. And it was nice. In A Fighter's Heart, I sort of liked that one a little better because it had a little more about Thailand in it. He briefly trained at Fairtex and thankfully, a long time ago. So it was funny hearing stories about Balloon Head Johnson on. And I think there's actually pictures of Coke and Nuntium in it, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was, and I know all those guys. They all come by my house pretty regularly.
Right. Didn't you tell me that you were training with, was it Coke for that fight that I fought him at?
No. Well, I trained with Nuntium for his fight with you.
Right.
Yeah. So I was like regularly sparring with him, and it was pretty funny because Ganyel was like, "Oh, why are you doing this? Why are you fighting this kid? He might beat you, and then like you like lose your name and your legend is sort of discredited."
Yeah.
And then Coke used to be my trainer for a few years actually, but he's since moved on to a different gym, and I probably helped him train for that fight too, although I can't remember. I mean, I feel like fighting and beating Nuntium is better than fighting and beating Coke. Just because Coke is sort of dumb when he fights.
He's what?
He's dumb.
Oh. Yeah, Nuntium is a technician. He definitely uses his brain.
Yeah, and Nuntium, a lot smarter of a fighter. Coke mainly relies on his strength, and if he gets mad, he's a pretty decent fighter, but it takes him a while to get started. He's super slow, and that's not how things work out here.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely a different game. It was funny. We were talking to Kevin Ross when he was on the last show, and everywhere has their strengths. So you've got to adapt the game. Like if you go to Australia, it's going to be different than it is in Europe. Say it's similar to Holland in a way, but in Australia, punch heavy, focus on that. They have very good hands, also great kicks, and I love like a lot of Australian fighters like Eli Madigan, Mad Dog Madigan. He's good, and then just like Preacher McPhee and John Wayne Parr and those guys. But there's going to be a difference from fighting in Thailand, obviously fighting in Australia, fighting in Europe, fighting in America. Thank you once again for joining us on Muay Thai Radio. We want to thank our friend Matt Lucas for coming on. Make sure you get that book, The Boxer's Soliloquy. You can find it on Amazon.com or only in the finest of literature shops. And also make sure you check out Lion Fight 19 with our buddy Ognen Topic going up there representing for the U.S. You'll see me in his corner that night. So send us some good vibes, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the show. For any companies or individuals interested in sponsoring the podcast in future, please contact me at radiomuaythai@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, everybody, and until next time, train hard, eat right, and sleep well. We'll see you.